Good evening, Central Indiana, and welcome to JTH Construction. We are live with Mr. Matt Hanson tonight. How you doing, Matt?
Oh, hanging in there. Thanks for having me.
Well, you know, it's always our pleasure to have you in, sir. How you doing, Mike? Mike Mincy joins us. Real quick, I want to go over my sponsors, and Jack's on, Dalton's on, Leslie's on. Very interesting story tonight, and we'll get to this momentarily. And it's got that H.G. Wells book look to it. So, of course, we're live at JTH Construction Studio. Contact Joe for all your construction needs. 765-913-8599. American Basement Solutions. That's Mr. Larry Ralph Sr. Going to be wet season soon. Get a hold of Larry. And he was on just a few weeks ago. Hello, Carl. Hello, Keaton. Hello, Tim. Larry was on just a few weeks ago talking about things you can do for your crawl and everything. So get a hold of Larry, 1-877-409-2837. Fathom Real Estate, Teresa Messmer, 765-341-8911. Drink the Creek, Cedar Creek, 26 bands, 12 concerts starting May 20th. We went over that list a few days ago. Carl Gilbert, I want to say something about him. He's starting a bass class, trying to get started here for kids in school. And I think that it's freaking awesome.
That's a great idea.
And he's going to be on soon to discuss that. I just cannot wait for that. Hello, Annie. I wish they'd had that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Or a Fortnite class.
Yeah. Still wouldn't be any good.
Right. The Yard Barber. Contact Andrew Payton, 765-318-4108. Happy to have Andrew with us. Wayman's Furniture Appliance and Mattress. Give Mark a call at 765-342-4339. This index card in me is not going to work. I'm going to have to put this on paper. Wellspring, that's Bob Goodrum's group, 765-346-6661. Of course, Stid's Comfort System. Call Caleb Stid at 765-346-0195. That's what that beautiful thing is, keeping us cold in the summer and warm in the winter in here. One of our newer sponsors we're happy to have is Livewire with Tommy. Livewire Electrical Consultant. Contact Tom at 765-792-4012. Coming up at some of the concerts, Toy Drive concert out at Hoosier Harvest, November 4th. Sandy Patty with Downpour. That's going to be a magnificent night. That is on November 4th. Get a hold of RD Productions for ticket information. The pre-fair, man, I can't talk. I think I'm nervous because Matt's in here.
Oh, jeez.
Keaton, how's the Navy, buddy? Pre-fair concert, June 17th, over at the fairgrounds. Ashley McBride, Tanya Tucker, Neil McCoy, Easton Corbin. What a lineup. If you've not seen Ashley McBride's video, get on YouTube. And of course, you know Tanya Tucker. Get a hold of RD Productions for ticket information there. Then the fair concert, Chris Tomlin, Megan Duke, Downpour, and Natalie Lane. And I got the last sponsor of the show here, Logan's Cosmos. Call Logan at 765-318-3388. She has a special Valentine's Day coloring special, 10% off all color services. Yet she won't cut her dad's hair.
Nice. I think I had Livewire do some work for me about a year and a half ago. So yeah, did a great job.
He's the one that wired up all that in there.
Oh, good.
And yeah. Shane Williams, what's up? All right, guys. Matt, you're a busy man. I see you all over the world.
Don't know about that.
with the kids.
Not sure Kentucky counts as all over the world,
but Crimson Ray. First of all, what got you? You're a judge, family man, man of the world. What got you to want to write books?
Honestly, it all started when I was in Baghdad back in 2007.
Prior service.
We had a ton of downtime.
Yeah.
As you know, and even as JAGs, you had a lot more downtime than you would even imagine. Sit around and wait. Hurry up and wait.
Hurry up and wait.
Typical
Army motto.
Yeah, Army motto. And so I started writing a book then called Ghosts of Baghdad. And I ended up spending a bunch of time. I got just my back broke. I got injured. Nothing glorious. It wasn't like I was saving villagers or anything.
You don't have to tell us.
Just fat. No,
IED or something.
No, it's not even cool. I can't even tell a cool story. But so I was down for about 9 months with that. So I was writing that book that whole time. And that was kind of the first jump into it. I never at college, I was an English minor, but I was a linguistics minor. And that was about how to speak. Right. It had nothing to do with writing.
So, imagination wise, or do you just draw from different experiences, different books?
Sure. I'm not a huge reader because I don't have a ton of time, and I'm spending a lot of time reading what I would call boring law stuff.
War manuals.
Yeah, and war manuals back then. And so it really just kind of came to me kind of from experience of what I was seeing and what I was doing in Baghdad. And that was kind of the first jump into it.
Yeah.
And then I got done with that one and put it away and never looked at it again.
Really?
And
where's it at?
Sitting in a drawer.
Did you publish it or anything?
Nope. Didn't touch it again. I haven't even been back to read it.
Oh, you got to.
No.
Well, it's like 5 years from now when they open up, they'll be like the Beatles tapes.
Yeah.
You know.
It'll get worse. So wait till I tell the other books I've got. And then after that, ideas started coming into my head, and I couldn't sleep. I'd lay there at night thinking of things. When I was swimming, I'd think of things, and I started writing a book called Perilous Politics.
Oh, wow.
Which was about my lobbying days back in the 90s, and some things that, good and bad on those things. And again, got done with that book, and it's sitting in a drawer, and I've never touched it again.
So you got these Nobel books, or what do they call them? What do they call them? What's the term when they get bestseller?
Let's call them saleable.
You got these money makers.
Yeah. So aliens at porch time.
Hey, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that.
We're getting to aliens. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's the closer.
We won't talk books too much.
Yeah. So that was two.
That was two, and then I started writing another one called. The next one along the line was Weapons of Mass Destruction, and that was
centered around the.
Well, actually, let me think first.
War?
Actually, it was Crimson Rage was the next one. This was the next one in the line, and I wrote this one with two characters that I liked a lot, and they're both in the book. And I put that one away, and I got done with that one in 2000. It took 11 years, so I started in 2010.
So this masterpiece has been sitting.
I don't know about master.
Well, I mean,
it's the best one I've done, because then I did, after this one, I did Weapons of Mass Destruction, which was similar in nature to this one,
right.
Same characters. From there, and then recently I'm writing a new one, and I don't have really a title for it. I'm just calling it Kid Killers right now, and that's not a great title, but you got to put something on there.
Let's cut the show.
Yeah, cut the show. Got to go.
So we'll get to Crimson Rage, but
sure.
Is it a series like Weapons of Mass Destruction? Is it a sequel to Crimson Rage Part 2?
No. They're one-offs. So you're basically, the story is the book, and the characters can be different. So for instance, my main character is Gabriel Moss, military, former government work, does a lot of investigations for the FBI. Just sort of.
I saw that. Some of it's. I think your header was talking about down in El Paso.
Correct. Yep, and that's where my other character comes in, Rebecca Ryan. And basically, she's a police officer down there, basically a detective. And so they get together and they call in Gabe because she doesn't need the help, but the boss thinks she does, because there's a whole bunch of dead bodies popping up. But it is based on a lot of historical fiction too. So, for instance, the book opens with the assassination of John Wilkes Booth in the barn.
Really?
And it goes back, because I tie in.
He's going deep on us.
Going back deep to, goes back to, it starts back then, and it basically insinuates that he was actually one of these seers, which is the people in my book. And it goes, and then throughout the book, there are a ton more historical truths that are accurate to the people that were involved, to the events that happened, to how they happened. And I just sort of took them and manipulated them and made them apply to my book.
I mean, look at that. Look at that guy on the back right there. I mean, that is. We'll get to the artwork in a minute. I know you said something. You talked about that pre-show.
Sure.
But I mean, I have a signed copy. And this is going to go up on the shelf somewhere.
You told me if I didn't give you one, I was couldn't show up.
Kevin goes to Elliot, hey,
you're going to have to.
I'm going to have to. This is what it is. Impressive. It's got the H.G. Wells, like I said, look to it. Tell us a little bit about the cover, what led you to this, and the artwork.
Sure. I have a couple of guys that I've been following for years in the comic world that did artwork and stuff for me. Over the years, I bought tons of their stuff from when they started to now. They're much more successful.
Sure.
And I was really trying to get the one guy to do the cover for me, and I never could get him. We couldn't hook up. And so about 9 months delay before I finally just decided this is the idea that I want. And actually, the person who put this together in town at Fidelity Publishing, she's right here in town. Robin Surface. She actually knew this gentleman and just had to pay him, and then he didn't take any royalties or anything, so it was just sort of a one-time thing. And the basic story is about people called seers that can see in different colors. You can see the colors on there, the green, the blue, the orange, and the red.
That's what the look is coming out of his eyes.
Right. And the red causes rage and causes these people to kill people that they see in red, essentially.
A little MK Ultra going on here. That's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Benjamin says, great book.
Thank you, Mr. Branson.
That's you already got
a heart already.
You got a follower. I mean,
and it's so it's about the eye thing. And I was telling you earlier, one of the funny things is there's several local Martinsville people in here. In the book, we have
Can I guess?
Sure. Dr. Cunningham, who I'd like to do a shout out to. He's my eye doctor,
and he's in the book?
He wrote the eye science for me to make it sound intelligent and legitimate.
Really?
And then I, in turn, made him my mortician. So he is
an eye doctor mortician.
Well, he's not an eye doctor in the book.
Yeah.
He actually acts like he's completely clueless about the eye in the book.
Oh, okay.
But he is probably the third main character in the book right now.
So who's the hero?
I mean, it's Gabe and Rebecca, the two of them.
So it's going to be what's his name?
Doggone it, John Wick.
I forget who plays that guy.
Oh, Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves, is he going to be the lead?
Play it? I don't know, because he controls the screen too much.
Right.
You need somebody who balances
a little less.
Little dual good characters. And then I have Tammy McClary, who works at Superior One. She is my crazy mycologist, which is a fungus doctor. So she is... she's somebody who's
so Tammy's
interesting.
In the book.
Yeah, Tammy's in the book too, so she knows about that. And then one of my cousins, or one of my nephews, who I really didn't even think about it, that he was in it until his mother called me and goes, "Oh, you put your nephew in it." Oh God, I did. So sometimes you're using names and you're not even thinking.
I'll take that royalty now. Sue's hitting on the air. I was going to, what was your inspiration for using the characters? And obviously two of them were local.
The other two characters, Gabe is sort of based on a lot of the military people I met. Just obviously you can read through it and kind of see what he does. He was sort of a leader of the, when I was over there was a guy missing called Maupin. Last name was Maupin. I don't know if you remember him, Maupin, I believe. And they kind of had a Maupin patrol, people that went out looking for him. And part of my book, Gabe was sort of a guy that took it to heart to go out and search for people, and that was kind of his, and then sort of exact revenge on those that they found.
Right.
And so he's pretty deep into that, but a lot of the military experience, I probably used you. I used lots of guys, putting them together. Rebecca was more hometown Indiana. She's from southern Indiana, went to Evansville. Yep, went to the Purple Aces down there.
Sure.
Worked at a casino, the boat down there.
Really?
And just, kind of tied that in.
I'm going to have to read it. I didn't get a chance to, and of course, because I didn't have a book until tonight. So, we're going to talk about the book I haven't read. But
so it's been interesting to get those. And then like part of the book's in Indianapolis toward the end of it. El Paso is where a lot of it plays out. Other places too. Yeah.
So obviously you've given it to some, not here, but you've given it to some, and good reviews so far.
Yeah, and again, it's weird that you want people to like it. Obviously, It's a story I want them to like. But a lady that I actually sent this to down in Texas, who I never met, and I paid her obviously, but she just destroyed it, and it was great because she took out. I probably had 600 pages. She probably killed half the book.
Oh, so she edited it.
Yes. This was a long time ago though. I've rewritten it probably 15 times since then.
Really?
But she killed it. It was great because she also told me, walk through an airport and look at all the people reading stuff and go up to them and ask, "Hey, you're reading something. What are you reading? Whatever. Do you like it?"
Yeah.
And she said probably 80 to 90% of the time, someone will go, it's all right.
It's just something to read.
It's just killing time.
Right.
And so that made me a little more confident that anybody can do that. You can write. You would write fantastic books.
I doubt it.
You have some great ideas. I know you do. The people you have on here, anybody can do this. If I can do it, anybody can do this.
Be published though.
Yours would have some crayon drawings. And you weren't a Marine. You're okay.
Right. I'm at the markers now.
Yeah. So that made me feel better. That's why I pulled this back out, because this is the one I liked.
Yeah.
And when I heard I know people won't love it. I know some people will. Some people are midland. I had one guy read this who the first half said, I kind of was struggling to get through it, but the back half was great.
Right.
But
as well as me, you're not going to please. Hello, Nicole. You're not going to please everybody.
No, and that's not the point. I mean, you can read any Grisham novel and go, Baldacci. I like reading him. He's got a lot of his He has different series going with Memory Man and some of these other ones, and
Yeah.
some of them are terrible.
I read a lot of military books when I was younger,
Right.
so it was in me. And of course, Chris Kyle, American Sniper,
Yeah,
and
right.
all stuff like that. But other
The
than
true
that,
stories. Yeah.
yeah, and they stretch the truth in the movie and stuff like
Right.
that. But this fascinated me. This fascinates me because I've known you a very long time, and to see you put pen to paper and make it happen, that's, I mean, like she said, I want to see it continue. I want to see the. The first thing that popped in mind when I heard you writing a book, Misery, came to mind, and all I think is James Caan laying there in the bed and the lady clubbing his ankles. But
there's some things I can't write. There's no cuss words in this.
Right.
I have a very hard time writing. Now I'm doing it in my most recent book because it's kind of necessary.
Right.
But if they're not necessary, they're not in there. I'm not a romance guy. I don't do a good job of writing romance. I think there's like one little half a paragraph about something where he's just thinking about something, and
so if Hollywood gets it, they're gonna
romanticize it,
Yeah,
sure,
someone's
because it's
gonna
got to
have
be
love
more like The
interest.
Notebook than than something I'm
the Alien Notebook
where people are dying.
Right.
But it's got descriptive. It's it talks about. There's a lot of autopsies. I brought in my experience with those when I used to go to those, and somebody was like, "How did you know all that?" And I was like, "Well, I went to a dozen of them."
Thank you, Nicole. So yeah, you had to go, didn't you?
Yeah. A lot of times. So it was just one of those things that you just bring that experience in.
So you've pulled from different areas of life,
Correct.
different individuals.
Yep.
Overseas, at home,
all across the board.
Yeah, and put it together.
Yeah, guys everywhere, girls everywhere.
15 years ago? It's been sitting that long?
It's been sitting since 2010.
Oh, okay, so 12 years ago.
12 years ago, 13 years ago. Yep.
Wow.
Just sat in a shell. And I pulled out Weapons of Mass Destruction the other day, and I realized I hadn't looked at that since 16. So,
you going to rewrite it and submit it?
I started to look at it, and I was hoping I could add these two characters to it. I've already got Gabe's in it already, but Rebecca wasn't in it, and I don't know that I can add her because my new female's character is totally different.
Really?
A JAG lawyer,
Uh-oh.
completely involved in more in-depth small town. She's in it's actually sort of out of Brown County is where it starts out of. But it's also involving overseas, and that there really was a weapon of mass destruction and we didn't catch it. And again, it's got historical fiction, same stuff,
So
same
it wraps
ideas.
around the edges of it. Yeah.
It wraps around sort of that. I don't want to call this fantasy because that's not what it is, but fringe,
Yeah.
kind of on the fringe of things. You've sort of got to accept a little bit of that.
Little conspiracy theory.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. It's got a lot of conspiracy theory. Yeah, it's got the aliens. There's no aliens.
We're going to get there. Hang on, folks.
Sorry.
It fascinates me. I'm going to have to read it. I think the last book I read, man, might have been American Sniper. But one of the original guys at Delta Force, and I can't think of his name.
There's a lot of good books out there that are like, I do like.
I literally.
I like a lot of those kind of books.
There's Tyler. What's up, buddy? I work with Tyler.
Okay.
I literally could not put the book down, and he was with the first class at Delta.
Okay.
And literally, the minute I opened that book up, I read it front to back.
Was it Vietnam era? Is that when you were talking about, or was it?
It was late 70s.
Okay. Yeah, I think I might have read that too. I think I know what you're talking about.
The funny thing about it is when I found out in the book, when I got deployed to Panama for Noriega, he was in charge of forces down there at that point in time, and I didn't know it.
Oh, wow.
And when I read that, I was like, no way. And he was prior Delta, and I think he was ended up being a command sergeant major, and he was in charge of the troops deployed down there. But
you never know.
They don't.
Small world.
Yeah,
you run into people 100 times before you.
But that's one of those books that you pick up and you.
Yeah, and I don't know that this is. I mean, I read it on the plane on the way back to Vegas, back to Vegas, and I was able to get through it. And it definitely didn't. It kept my attention, but obviously I wrote it. I knew what was coming.
We're discussing the book Crimson Rage with author Matthew Hanson, local guy, judge, Fortnite player, and believer in aliens. So we'll get to that in a minute, and some characters from the town in there, Mr. Cunningham and Tammy.
Yeah, and I got it published with the lady in town here too, which I was very impressed.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that.
Sure.
What was the name of it?
Fidelity Publishing.
Fidelity, that's right here in Martinsville.
Yeah, her name's Robin Surface, and I just called her up one day, super helpful, and she was amazing on just setting it. I mean, she formatted everything, got it together. There were 4 errors in here that I found, and 3 of them were the publishers, not hers. The people that put the book together, basically when they did the print or whatever at Amazon, and then one was mine. That I didn't catch.
Mistake.
I did make a mistake, so
Wow.
I was horrified. But she was fantastic. She put the artwork together. She did the book covers, the backs, the fronts. got it out, put me all online, got me all hooked up with Amazon,
So she walked you through it.
Barnes and Noble. She just did it.
Oh, okay.
She just takes it and did it, and it was fantastic.
A little update. We're winning a lot of Fortnite without you tonight. I believe that. I've played with him, Benjamin.
Yeah.
So, and Mike
I'm
says
not
that's a
believing that.
good book to read.
Yeah.
I till I get my headgear situated.
We don't want you stumbling around without words.
I was right. I was winning 2 or 3 a night, so I was
It's changed
big time.
It's a lot harder.
Recently?
Yeah. A lot of computer players that are just killing you without even trying.
Yeah, one thing I noticed, and I was going singles, I would do my normal, get to the end, and we'll get back to the book. And 2 people left, 2 or 3 times they're working together.
Oh.
And I was like, oh wow, because they come charging out, man. I'm like, no, this is no fun. So I quit for about a month.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see you on. I'm like,
come on back.
I've got no communication. We got to communicate.
Yeah.
So.
And try to do it that way.
Right. I know people are like, you play Fortnite? Yeah, only with Mr. Hanson.
Yeah.
What? What? And if Ramey's around, that'd be even funner. But we can't get a hold of him. So they, I know what I was going to say. I thought about a few years ago. I know they write short books and they publish them real quick. Spotify and things like that. What are some of the platforms that yours is on?
Sure, we've it's on Amazon, obviously. It's also on Barnes and Noble. They can pick it up there. It's hardback on a website called AuthorSpeak, I believe is what it is. I think they're doing hardback too now on Amazon. So you can get those. You can get it on a Kindle. And then right now I'm working on, as you and I were talking earlier, recording, doing a read of it. And I kind of listened to a whole bunch. You can hire people to do it. And I listened to all their voices, and I just thought, they're good. Everybody's good at it that does it. But I just thought, this is my book. I know my characters. I'm not going to go in there and give you a Mexican voice or a female voice or a hardened male voice. It's just going to be me reading it, but with the inflections and with what I think is important. And
will you expand on it as you go through the book, or
no,
stick strictly to the book?
Stick strictly to the book. It's going to be a reading of the book. Basically go through there. But as I was telling you, my microphone, I never could get it to work. So another local individual helped me out get a different microphone. So hopefully we'll be able to get that going in the next week or 2.
Yeah, that's a must. That's Spotify's big, and what I've noticed, and some people do even for the show, is they'll say, "Hey, I'll listen to it on my way to work tomorrow."
Right.
And they'll throw the show on and put it through their Bluetooth of the car.
Right.
They don't see us. They don't need to see us anyway, but they'll listen as they drive to work or drive home from work, and that's big. I think it's taken place as talk radio.
A lot of times.
A lot of it.
And I do all Spotify too. I know what you're talking about. All my podcasts, everything I listen to.
Yeah.
It's just easier.
Whatever.
Yeah. When you're just driving down the road or walking the dog.
This guy knows his stuff. I'm telling you. Crimson Rage. Now, I may have already asked you, how did you come up with that name?
Just the eyes. It was just the whole eye thing. That I actually wrote a short story way back 2010 that was the fourth to the final chapter. And I wrote this short story. I submitted it around. It didn't win anything. I wasn't going to. I'm not, again, I'm not, this isn't my
New
career.
York Times bestseller, though.
I don't know that. But at the same time, when the short story got done, again, I was swimming.
Yeah.
And as I'm just doing laps, you're kind of brainless. And I just start thinking, oh, well, this could go here and this could go here. And next thing you know, I'm writing a book.
That's fantastic.
For this book. And Crimson Rage was always the title. This was never, I told you the one I got right now is Kid Killers. And the Weapons of Mass Destruction is probably not a good one either.
Yeah.
But I'll probably not. But those aren't ones I've really thought through. Ghosts of Baghdad, that one stuck from the get-go. And then Perilous Politics, that one stuck from the get-go too.
What I was going to say, the biggest part, I think a lot of people getting started, and you said you had help, because pen to paper is one thing, but after that, can you explain a little bit what all you have to do after that?
Sure. Starting to write it, I outlined everything. I mean, obviously I started with the short story, so that helped, and I could work backwards and forwards. But I wrote that first. And then the idea I kept outlining, and I didn't do a ton of outlining, but I did enough. And then I did a little bit of character development, but not a ton. And it can be totally different. Some people love the character developments and want, me to tell you about when they were born and how they remember being in the womb. And I just don't do that. Mine's a story. I'm more story based than I am character based.
You're going to drop us right in the middle of it and let's run.
Correct. Let's roll with it.
Yeah.
And so over time, you just start writing it. And then, like I said, I got to a point about 7 writes into it, rewrites, where I just thought, I need help because this is a disaster. This is like the largest Harry Potter book. And nobody's going to read the largest Harry Potter book when you're not J.K. Rowling's
pages.
Right. Yeah. And so that's when I just called that lady, and she said, for this amount of money, I'll X it up and don't take offense. And she was very nice, and she sent it back to me. And
So wait a minute, that just made sense. You paid her.
Oh yeah.
To chop you down.
Absolutely. Right. Oh yeah, you have to. I mean, she's an editor.
Yeah.
And so I sent it down there, and I tried to ship it around to some publishing companies, and that's almost an impossible thing to do.
Yeah, I was going to ask that because that was the. I know a couple of people that have written books here in town. As a matter of fact, one of the weirdest things I did not know during the fair, right down from our booth, there were 4 or 5 authors from here in town.
Correct.
A lot of love stories and things like that they wrote, but publishing is the hardest.
It's the hardest thing because they did a gimmick thing a couple of years ago where some guy that wanted to prove a point sent 20 copies of, I think it was one of the old great books, one of the great novels, and I can't remember which one it is right now, but Tale of Two Cities maybe, or something like that. Sent it to 20 different places. 18 of the places sent back, no thank you, we're not interested.
Really?
One sent back, you've copyrighted this, what are you doing?
Oh, so
and another one sent back, well, maybe we'd like to see this. So basically 18 of the 20 didn't even look at it to know that it was, this great piece of work so that's almost impossible.
So is it who you know at that point in time?
It's probably where you come from. It's the Harvard, it's the MIT, it's the, you've been in scripts writing contests, you've won these 10,000 things,
right.
But I was not going to get there. And I'd gotten a lot of rejections, and I'm
okay with that. They don't take
Wabash
people?
They don't. Yeah, no Wabash publishers. And so I just got to the point where it got frustrating a little bit, but at the same time I kept going. And then finally I got it done. I had my family read it. I gave out copies to different people around the community to read it, got feedback, changed a bunch more, had my sister rewrite it with me. She's out in LA. And that was sort of a good connector for us. We've lived so far away from each other for the last 40 years. It was nice to get back together and do this.
Bonded with that.
And
We're talking about Crimson Rage with author Matt Hanson, and he's giving us the insight on it.
Yeah, and then so after that, it just rewrote 2 more times, had my daughter proofread it, and then just decided it's time. Yeah. And I found Fidelli. I got real lucky just finding him right here in Martinsville, and she was great. And then it just went from there.
What'd your family think? Immediate family, were they critical of it at first, or did they all? Oh no, that's good, Dad. That's good.
My daughter likes it. My wife's never read it. My son's never read it. I'm not sure he knows what it looks like.
1 out of 3's
I've got some relatives who've popped on here and who've read it, and I think they like it. Right. I've had my mom read it. She's an English teacher, so of course, every word was incorrect. But she was great. I appreciated her reading it, giving me feedback. My dad read it when it was done.
Yeah.
So they've enjoyed it. And there's been had a couple people in the community read it. I've got a couple reviews up on Barnes and Noble already, and a couple on Amazon. We'll have to look.
Harshest critic thus far.
There hasn't been really a harsh one yet. Other than, the one lady who chopped it in half. That was pretty harsh.
That's what you paid her to do.
Right. And then I had another one that just said, I think the harshest was I couldn't get into it to start, which I really thought, okay, the start to me is catchy, but then the last part was great.
Right.
And that was probably the harshest, and that's okay.
I guess you're going to get that depending on the type of person that reads it. Yeah.
Again, I want to, and I do try to cliffhang the end of chapters to make you want to go to the next one.
Yeah.
And I try to do that, and that's what you want to get, and you want to try to do that. So it was a process, but it was fun. I mean, it was fun, but it's also aggravating because here I go again.
But right. But you had this idea to write a book. You said
way back
when you were in Baghdad,
right? And it was just the first time doing it, and it was because I had free time. What else do you do?
Was that an escape though from the reality of where you're at? Sure.
Yeah, you're able to just type up. I mean, I could just write stuff, and some's true, some's not. What could I talk about? What couldn't I? And just sort of go from there.
Interesting. I don't have the patience. I've wrote, and I think on my old phone, I kept it for that reason. Who says you do a good job cliffhanging at the end of chapters? There you go. Keep them coming back for more.
Hope so.
That's the old TBC, to be continued from days on the TV shows. I wrote a few things down and notes, and then I'd go back to it a month later and then try to recapture that. And that's just where you said you went back and look at them. I can't do that. It's almost you're living in the moment when you're writing right then and there. And you hear that from musicians where I sat down on the toilet in 5 minutes and wrote that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you're like, how in the hell would they do that? But that's how it works for some people.
Yeah, there's stuff I've written. I've probably got 20 book ideas in a computer system.
Right.
And I go back and look at them sometimes. I'm like, where in the world was that come from?
Right. What was my thought process?
Yeah. What was I doing there? And The Ghost of Baghdad wasn't even written in book format. It was like almost written in like high school essay format, where I didn't even like do paragraphs or didn't do, like
you're throwing thoughts down.
Yeah. Every time somebody talks, every time you're supposed to do in breaks like you do a book.
Right.
And so it was when I started reading again, I thought this is a disaster. So. And not a good one.
It's probably a New York Best Times, just sitting there waiting.
Well, that's what I always tell people. I go, they're like, "Oh, I want a signed copy," and I'm like, "Well, one of two things."
Thank you, Benjamin.
One of two things going to happen: either, I'm going to die and become famous, and then your book's going to be valuable,
right?
Or the zombie apocalypse, or alien invasion, and you can burn it and probably stay warm for a good 3, 4, 5 minutes.
Or this fiction will become reality, and we'll know what's up.
That's true, but yeah, if that starts happening, we might be in trouble.
I mean, you got the poster company on the back. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Crimson Rage, author Matt Hanson, Spotify, Amazon, Kindle.
Kindle's got it. Barnes and Noble. Yeah. And Spotify doesn't have it yet. They will.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're going to try to do a read on there.
Yeah,
also.
I'm going to do that. Starting pretty soon. I just haven't gotten around to it. Been pretty busy lately. So,
as I said, great graphics, and it's got that little H.G. Wells to it a little bit.
Some people didn't like it. Some people thought it was too comic booky, which it is.
I'm
a comic book guy.
Booky, but
if you know me, I'm a comic book guy. So it's sort of, but it is the idea. Actually, it's a pose of another picture of one of the X-Men one time that I saw them on their knees, screaming to the sky.
So you read.
I kind of like the idea. Yeah,
I think it's fascinating.
It worked for the book.
When I saw it, currently reading Crimson Rage for the second time. So she likes to start.
There she goes.
I'm gonna have to start tonight, and then I'll give you.
If nothing else, if it's bad, it puts you to sleep. You could get some good rest.
I don't want to say that. If you're tired, 11 o'clock, open it up.
Yeah, open it up. You'll be out by 11:03.
2 pages in it, you got drill marks all over the book.
That's all right. I get you another one. Got a few in here.
I was saying, how many copies you got?
I got a lot.
Do you?
Here I've only got four of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're always in my car.
So you have any book signings coming up?
No.
You got to run with it.
I know. I've done this.
PR it out there.
I've got Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Yeah. We kind of do those, and my daughter's helping me out with that.
Julie says,
I guess I better read it. Right. Yeah, she doesn't want a copy. She's in there in the back. She doesn't know it yet. No, I'm just kidding. She's not. So Julie's great. So,
now Tammy, I don't know if you know this, but she's famous around these parts right in here
because of
lasagna.
Oh, right. Because of her cooking.
Did you add that in the book anywhere?
I did not. She's crazy. She's kind of. I mean, it's funny because when you picture her, she looks like a mycologist. I mean, the way I just wrote it. And I mean, who's a fungus doctor? I mean, let's just be honest.
Can't wait for Spotify.
How many people are fungus doctors?
And
you can picture it. Can you picture Tammy?
On the planet.
Put glasses on her, nerdy, and a little white lab coat.
Yeah.
And she's perfect.
Yeah, right.
She was instantly the one that came to mind, and I thought and I think I call her Dr. Tamala McClary.
Just
so it's a little bit
just
different.
Enough. Yeah. But how did you take Cunningham from an eye doctor? Lori says she needs a copy.
Because she was because when he helped me with the eye science, and I do have an eye doctor in my book.
So you had to put him in.
But I wanted to put him in there, and then he kind of became a bigger. I mean, the mortician is a big part of the book.
The book.
I mean, like I said, it's probably the third biggest character.
Oh, really?
So it was, and he's trying to. He doesn't have the ability to kind of love crush. And so he's kind of very awkward and standoffish. And I said, Aaron, don't take this as, this isn't a personal view because I'm sure he read. Because
your personal traits and just abusing them.
I gave him one of the original copies, like in the notebook. He still got it because I said, I'm writing this, and I'm going to give you my first signed copy, and I did. I went when I finally got the real book. I walked it over to him and gave him the first one before anybody bought it. I just said, and he said, well, I still got the part in the notebook, and I said, you keep it. You got double things to burn if you need to.
Right. So he liked it.
I assume he did. Yeah. I did. I just, he wrote the science for me. It was too nerdy for me. I can't understand.
But that's fantastic. You took that and applied that and actually went, Well,
a lot of the things in here, I've gone and researched to make sure they were accurate. I don't want
as close as you did.
There's some things in there, some spy stuff that I kind of went a little overboard on, but it was believable enough. But again, a lot of the historical stuff, one of the things I love was it goes all the way back to President Adams. This group does all the way back, and I don't know. One of the Adams kids actually died on a boat called the George Washington, I believe, or no, he was named George Washington, and he died on a boat I can't remember the exact thing right now, but it's fantastic that it worked perfectly into my story
That-
because he was supposedly like delirious and he was crazy, and just one night he disappeared on a boat, and so
that was factual.
he's one of my seers. Yeah, he's one of my seers. I basically make him a
He's
seer.
making us believe this is fiction, but I'm telling you, man of many talents, judge, author, and a guy who taught me how to bunny hop on a bicycle many years ago.
Many years ago.
I want to see that now.
Yeah.
I would like to get a copy, but have to watch what I buy and living on Social Security income.
Oh, I could get you one.
Mike will get you one,
Yeah,
buddy.
we'll get you one. Maybe I'll drop it off here with
Corey.
I'll make Coriel pay triple for it, and he'll get you for free.
Yeah, he didn't give me this one. I had to pay for
Yeah,
it.
that was the most expensive book ever.
Hope he takes check.
Yeah,
That's all I'm saying.
they're like $12 online. I think he paid me $50 because he's a friend.
Yeah, I was gonna say $12, right?
It's 12 for those. I sell them here pretty much 5. I want I bought these and that's what they cost me to buy. So if you catch me, you can get them cheaper. Kindle, I think they're like $3.
Yeah.
Yeah, hard copy's 19 because those are just a little bit more.
I had a Kindle for a while. I'd love to see you bunny hop on a bike now, Mr. Hanson. That's hilarious.
As my back snaps.
Same here, and I'd videotape it.
I did the Kindle for a while, reading some.
I bounced around reading different novels. And I wouldn't even say it was a novel, just short books. And that's tough.
I'm old
It's
school.
hard.
I gotta have it in my hand.
Oh, do you?
I don't
Okay.
like the.
Scrolling.
Yeah, that's just.
Yeah, I'm probably a book guy too. Whenever I go on a plane, like I told you, I grab a book and
Okay.
I don't read them. I can't read them on a.
The younger
Small
generation,
screen.
that's all they know.
They don't understand.
All right.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So it's all right.
So, I mean,
Oh, you're very welcome, Mike.
what's next? Are you going to go in totally different? You're not going to go. You're not keeping any of these guys around.
I've kept Gabe around for that WMD book.
Okay.
But WMD's already been written.
Yeah, but this one's a different play on that too. I mean, I
Okay.
can tell you what it is. Basically, the premise of it is that they were actually trying to come up with and it's a little bit fantasy, a chemical formulation to sterilize white males. And basically, I've gone in and they were putting it in the water supply over there, and it actually
Don't give
did
me any
come.
ideas. We just had the damn balloon.
I know. We'll get into that later too.
Right.
But it's essentially that, and it's the science behind it. And there were labs over there that they were killing off people to keep them quiet and burying bodies. I mean, there's all true, again, historical fiction that is true.
I was going to say, this
That I tied
it's
in.
not far-fetched.
No.
That's the thing.
Right. And then they don't tell the Americans, and the soldiers come home, and then 2 Iraqi doctors are actually in America, and they run into the doctor that tortured them because they were captured by Americans, and there's a whole twist to it. It's I like it, and I like the character.
It
So,
scares me because 99%, just like the stories in Hollywood, 99% of that stuff is true to a limit.
Yeah.
And they twist it a little bit. So I'm
Right.
like, okay,
Where was Matt?
What does he know?
during
It probably
Iraqi?
comes from the day that I was had to walk a mile in Iraq, and it was 115 that day, and I was dying for water because the bus stopped where I didn't expect it to, and I'm walking, and I remember seeing one of those big pallets of water over there that are these giant water bottles, and I grabbed it and just started drinking it, and it burned as it went down my throat, and I didn't care.
It was wet.
It was just wet, but it just, it tortured me all the way down, and maybe that's. I'm thinking, okay, maybe they put it in the water source, and that's what I was drinking.
That's
So that was kind of that
the
impetus.
rumor in World War II was it Vietnam War II and Korea where they put stuff,
Yeah.
sterilize the troops,
Correct.
to kill the T.
Right.
That's a fine line. You want them all hyped up, but not all hyped up,
Right.
so to speak.
So that's the impetus of that book. So we'll see.
Whew, that's a lot to unpack on that one. That's good though.
That's a different one.
That's
It's written, it's done, but it's just, again, it's not. It's going to take a lot.
here, I'll throw you one. I had the chance to go to Iraq. I had just gotten out, and I ran a thing called and this might get me on another list, a KL-43. And that was made famous by North because that's how he spoke with Iran and the Contras, was a
Right.
KL-43. And it was encoding, decoding equipment, and I was one of the 13 originals trained on it.
Yeah.
They come rounded up commo guys across Europe and said, you come with us. And I think it was basically if you could walk and chew gum, because I was not any better than anybody else in there. So he throw us in a room and they train us for like 2 weeks, and then it was basically secure phone. You encrypt the message, send it, and no matter where that went, unless they had this, basically this little strip that if you put in there, pull it through, it could read what you're talking about, and you could read what I'm talking about. Then when you're done, you had to burn it.
Yeah.
So that was
It's a
it.
news thread.
done deal.
Sure.
And
They called me back. I'd been out a year. They called me back and said, out of the blue, and this tells you how scary this stuff is. I'm at work in Indy and get a phone call. I said, Coriel, yes. This is Kevin Coriel, yes. Winter said you're trained on the KL-43. I'm like, I was. Would you like to come play in the desert? And I was like, dude, 40 pounds ago? Are you kidding me?
Have you seen me?
Yeah. I've got a mullet now. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I've done that once.
That's crazy, though. That's a great
They gave
story.
me 24-hour notice.
Yeah.
Said, we'll call you back tomorrow.
They were probably waiting outside your door. They were probably
so
sitting out there. Yeah,
scary.
we'll wait 24 hours for you. And they're like right
Well,
here.
I was in India. I left and went home, came home and talked to my parents and the girl I was seeing at the time. And I was like, wanted to, but didn't want to.
Yeah.
And I'm working my way to a story.
No, you're all right.
So I nixed on that. But one of the times we were training at NTC, you talk about the pallet of water. And I tell people this. I know everybody in the military is going to know this instantly. When you first get sent out to NTC, of course, they drop the crappers everywhere because they don't want you digging in the desert and dropping trowel. And they drop these cases of milk. And that milk sits there for 60.
We didn't have that.
Oh,
Yeah.
we did.
Okay.
65 days.
Ugh.
And it's chocolate, strawberry, and straight white.
Well, that makes it better.
Well, if you're going to get salmonella, you might as well go
Yeah,
chocolate.
you might as well get chocolate.
So you could literally, those things sat out in the sun 24/7, day after day, stick the straw in that and drink it, and it tasted just like cottage cheese.
Answers a lot of questions about you.
but right then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, how in the hell can they make this? This cannot be anything close to milk.
Right.
But
what did they put in it?
yeah.
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 Exactly.
Fauci.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Big pharma. Excellent.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, drink more.
Yeah.
But yeah, but by the end of the course, NTC were using them as throwing them at each other from miles away, just launching them because
Well, sure.
there was a skid of them about every half mile to a mile.
That's about the water palace in Baghdad.
And so
yeah.
by the end of it, you're chucking them as
Yeah.
devices to hurt each other. But
Oh yeah, these bottles were like 3 times the size of the. I mean, they were the giant
5-quart, the double
big
quart
bottles.
canteens.
They were just you could take 12 of them back to your.
You couldn't drink enough
Huge.
water and heat like that though.
No, I mean you were always thirsty. Yeah,
Yeah.
you should. I should have had a backpack with water on it, but we were inside a lot. We were on the base. I was a fobbit. I never left the base. So I mean,
Yeah, but
a
the
couple
base
times, but
was pretty much where the worst action.
no, it really wasn't
With
that
the
bad.
scuds?
It was. I call it Disney World with rockets.
Really?
Yeah, it wasn't too. The food was great.
Anything
The-
close?
Oh yeah, we had within. I mean, we had our hooch hit with rocks from blasts a couple times.
Yeah.
But you just grab your magic blanket at night and you heard the warning and incoming. You just tuck yourself under. Okay, magic blanket.
Do your
Be
thing.
good to me. Yeah,
I
protect
need
me.
you.
Yeah. So we
That's
have
hilarious.
actually the only time that it hit close to us. If we had run out to the shelter, we probably would have been killed
Really?
because it hit right next to the shelter.
Good thing you had the magic blanket.
The magic blanket. It was 6 a.m. So yeah, we were just. My buddy was coming back from the shower and walked in the room and big voice started and hammer started and next thing you know we were just diving under the magic blanket.
So you were in the green zone pretty much though.
Well, the green zone's up by was more downtown. We were up by the airport, by up
Okay.
where Victory Base. There
Right.
was a whole bunch of bases, and it was about the circumference of Indianapolis 465.
Really?
Huge.
Massive.
Took you forever to get around it. I mean, if you wanted to go to the airport, we were on the opposite side over by Othal Palace, and it was just totally different.
It was a war, and there's a lot of evilness that came out of that and sadness. But to think that you were over there in that, man, that is.
We have a ton of local guys. Morgan County is fantastic, if
Yeah.
nothing else, about the people that went that were volunteers. That
Yep.
we have the Army right out here. Those guys are great.
Yep.
We had a bunch of JAGs go. That was great. Bob Klein, who's now a judge. We got
Oh yeah.
Steve Soniga. He went over to he was helping people off airplanes or off of helicopters that were injured.
Steve.
That was what he did at night, and I always thought that's one of the coolest things
Yeah.
ever. Because
Bob
you
was
were
our
doing
very first guest on this show, by the way.
Right.
Deputy prosecutor.
Correct.
At that point in time.
that. Now a
Guy's
judge.
judge is he down in Greene County?
Lawrence
No,
County.
he moved away from there, didn't he?
Correct. No, he's always lived in Lawrence County.
But wasn't he part of Greene or
No.
it was Lawrence. I
Yeah.
stand corrected. You're
And
right.
he was up here for years,
Yeah.
and then
Good
finally won a
dude.
seat down there. And we had Judge Burnham. He got deployed down in
Yeah.
Florida, but he did. He was Air Force Marines. They're not the same as the poor Army guys that get grounded.
But are any right? But are any of them writing a book like that?
I'm sure there's a few that have. Yeah,
And it's a little military, little Men in Black,
little police, little
yeah.
investigatory, government cover up, that kind of good stuff.
If you want a
So,
copy, get a hold of him, or you can go to Amazon, Kindle, everywhere. Pick
Barnes
one
and
up.
Noble,
Barnes and
yeah.
Noble.
any of those places. So yeah,
And there's a couple characters from local in
Yep.
there.
Yep.
Tammy, and Mr. Cunningham.
Yep. And I really appreciate you having me on tonight for that.
We're not done.
I know.
We're not-
Just for that. I was just like, push this to the side right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to read it, and then I'll come back and talk about it.
Then it'll be scathing and hateful. You'll be like, you don't need to come back for this part.
No, we can zoom in,
Yeah.
when you're on the Today Show talking
We'll
about your
mute
new
you.
book.
We'll zoom you in and mute you.
Yeah.
I'll start it on porch too.
Right. All right. I always wish we could have. Who was the
Klein?
He was the Bigfoot guy?
Yeah.
And you were the alien one. And
Yeah.
You're not a Bigfoot guy.
No.
How the hell can you not be a Bigfoot guy when they're almost tied together?
They're not.
Some circles are they think they're tied together.
Not even close.
Alien guy, 100%.
Two totally different things.
But here's the kicker, and this is my thought patterns here. I've always believed that something else is out there. Way too big.
Sure.
I mean, I saw something today that it made me crack up. It was a picture just of our galaxy, and it was a pinpoint
Little
to where we were. And it said,
You are here.
And they're saying you're causing
Heat.
Yeah,
I saw
you
that
know what
today.
I mean? Did you see that?
Right. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
And that's, you can't convince people otherwise, though. And it's
Population, just people being here, is causing a change of our planet.
100%.
It's just simple. I mean, we do a lot of stupid
sad. And
stuff.
it's been happening for
Yeah.
centuries, though.
Right. But just being here, breathing,
Yeah.
and you have a baby, you've added to it.
Yeah.
That simple.
Daggone kids. I knew
Yeah.
it was a problem. Something's out there. Always felt that. And now I watch the Ancient Aliens and all that, and the tie-ins to what I do aerospace-wise and things like that. And I'll get to that in a minute. But if I see a show now, Ancient Aliens, you can see when it was first released, pre-2020, I don't even watch it. Because since then, the government has released
Some stuff.
Air Force.
Right.
Even though if it was accidental or the Navy actually had.
No, they released it on. I'm pretty sure it was.
Well, they first were like, we didn't mean to do that.
Yeah.
Sure you didn't. That pilot was like, I locked onto it.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't. And all of a sudden he did. And
Yeah.
then for a little bit, then the thing was like, dude, I'm out.
Right. And they're just
So-
doing accelerations and things that you can't do naturally. I think I told you years ago, my theory is, this would almost be like life. What is life out there, first of all? Life that would come find us. But there's so many billions and billions and billions of possible places they could be. It's almost like running down to the forest down here to your forest, just on the south side of town here,
Right.
and putting little blue dots, 100 of them,
Yeah.
150 of them, on different leaves around in the forest.
Go look for him.
Go look for them.
Yeah.
Are you really going to try that hard to find? They're going to fall. Some are going to be on the ground. Some are going to be other. And those are the ones with life.
Right.
But what are the odds that the billions of places are really going to find us or know to come look at us over any other place?
I want to get to that.
Sure.
Congratulations on publishing your first book. I look forward to the next one. Though there are aliens, not so sure about Bigfoot.
Yeah. See, there you go.
My thought on that is Indians across, or not only Indians, but ancient dwellers, let's put it that way, across the globe drew pictures of Sasquatch.
Bears.
No, on 2 feet. They drew
Bears.
bears,
Bears can stand on 2 feet.
but not 9 foot. No, there wasn't grizzlies in the jungles of South America.
No.
So
Yeah.
and these things.
Man in a bear suit.
I'm just saying, Gigantopithecus is the name.
Yeah.
That happened. We know that for a fact. They found the bones. You can't get into Grand Canyon. That's another one we need to go down.
You're going way off.
But I mean,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, where there's smoke, there's fire. At some point in time,
There's
are they around now? Hard to say.
Yeah. Somebody would have. But today with the cell phones, you can't get away with anything
You
today.
would think.
Yeah, something's going to be caught. A drone in the air, a hunter's camera in the woods,
You would think.
any of that stuff.
That's why the aliens are popping back up.
That's why they-
Now, my thought is, I think that it's there's something about Antarctica. I'm big on the Admiral Byrd thing. I'm big on the World War II thing. It's a scientific fact. It's a proven fact. I mean, that they went there. Some of the Nazis went there. I followed Tim Kennedy. He tracked Hitler all the way to South America. Swears to this day that they didn't get him.
Right.
And I believe that after watching the show. Not saying he went to Antarctica, but Byrd went there and fought something. And his own words, if you YouTube that and follow that, whatever they went against had machines that could go from pole to pole in a matter of minutes. And he said, we can't touch them. So something's there. Something's there.
Yeah.
And I think they've always been here.
I would say they probably have.
And I'm not saying there's not more out there, but these things are here.
Yeah.
And that the more this is exposed, military people are saying they've always been there. We follow them for years. Can't pick them. Don't know what it is. But what do they call the one thing that's floating in our atmosphere in orbit?
The Chinese balloon.
We know the Dark Knight or whatever it is. But that's been orbiting us for
years,
and nobody knows what it is. Won't get close to it. Don't want to.
Yeah.
So
there's stuff out there. Yeah. It's interesting. It's fascinating too to think about it.
But I mean, sooner or later we're going to find the truth out on that. Got to.
You would hope so.
They got to come off that.
You would hope so, but
there's some government agency somewhere in a 30 people and they know the truth, and
30.
You know what I mean?
5 people.
Everybody's like, oh no, you couldn't keep something that long. Oh yeah, you could.
Yeah, you can.
Especially with money and power.
Right.
And that's all it takes.
And you lock up people that maybe find out the truth,
or worse.
They're crazy and they have a background, or you create a background, or you.
Yeah.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Lots easy ways to do things.
Yes.
Basically in the book. Yeah. It's all about aliens.
So have you ever seen an alien?
No.
So what? Just
the logical genesis of just billions of places out there. There has to be something here.
Yeah.
There does. A lot of those wall paintings, I get it, but they could have been creative too. It could have been, you never know. You just don't know that.
Pablo Picasso sitting in a cave somewhere.
And the whole explanation of the pyramids was that, helped built by aliens.
That's what I was going to get into.
All that stuff. I mean, I don't know. I mean, is it logical that humans could do it? Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
South America, the stones down there.
Right.
They're huge. What was funny is I used to go to Danville Metals and do X-ray for them when I worked in NDT in Indianapolis, aerospace X-ray, and they interviewed that guy. They took stones from down there, and they're like, "We don't have anything nowadays." You're talking they're drilled holes through stones 7 and 8 foot thick granite to precision cut, hundreds of them. And he goes, "We couldn't do that now."
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't
there
know.
is no way.
It seems impossible, but
yeah,
humans are possible. And we do things.
We do dumb.
We do smart and dumb things all the time. Yeah.
If you want to leave me a copybook, Kevin, like, there you go.
Yeah, and get that taken care of for him. So,
when you're ready to come on and have a conspiracy, I have a whole group of people. I mean, I said the other day,
they're probably more read than I am. Mine's more just kind of, I've just always believed that way. That's kind of my logic. It's kind of what I've talked to people that do kind of science and space and engineers, people that have flown.
Yeah,
it's just sort of where I come from. I don't read a lot on it. I don't.
I have people want me to start a UFO page for the area.
And
I'm like, the bad thing is, 10% of it would be fun,
right?
And the other 90% are going to be.
You do know that if that balloon had gone over Morgan County, Indiana, we would have been all out there in Paragon in the middle of the field
100%.
With every AR known to man and every other weapon.
We'll get this.
Yeah.
No.
Give me that ladder. I got to get closer.
65,000 feet. Is that what it was?
Yeah, something like that.
That's why we had to fire a missile at it.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't get close enough.
But we would. Come on. This is Morgan County.
Oh, yeah.
You and I'd be leading the charge if nobody else would.
Put my tinfoil hat on and go.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it made it over Kentucky or Tennessee.
I don't know how.
Yeah,
I really don't.
I guarantee you someone took shots at it.
Yeah. I don't know if you were at Rural King yesterday, but they had a discount on 15% off ammo. That place was gone. I was thinking everybody's getting ready.
Now, there's supposed to be a couple more.
Oh, good. Then we've got a chance.
Latin America, there was one, and then perhaps another one drifting towards us, which...
Morgan Cat, please don't shoot. It's like, well, okay, we got about 10,000 people down here.
2A, what do you mean don't shoot?
Yeah, just don't shoot towards people.
Technically, my property goes from here all the way up.
Well, it's Morgan County. We're okay anywhere in Morgan County. We're okay.
Brown County.
We'll climb up to the highest hill.
That's Observatory Road. That's where we gotta go.
That's probably up by the police station. Probably not going to work out well up there.
That's Lincoln.
Yeah, we need to stay down
there.
Not
going down there. No. That's dispatch. We'll be in big trouble.
Yeah,
my brother's going to show up and tase me, so I don't want that.
Stay down in Washington Township on the south side here.
Go down the forest and climb on a big hill down there.
So. Yeah, we'll be all right.
Matt, it's always a pleasure.
Enjoyed it. Really appreciate it.
Almost an hour. Look at that.
Oh my goodness. No, that's my bedtime.
I got to get back into Fortnite with you. Obviously, your team's on here.
Part of my team. I'm not sure he's my team. He's a kid I yell at all the time. So he's a good kid. He's a good guy. He's funnier.
I feel for you because he yells at me too. Trust me.
He does. Yeah.
I
do. I yell at you. Have I?
Cordell, where you at?
Oh well, that's just curiosity.
Right.
It's like everybody's over here and you're on the other side of the map and you're like going solo.
No, but your daughter is extremely good at the game.
So is my son. There he is. We've won 3 already.
Well, there you go.
I'm missing out.
You're gonna have to go home and get on.
It's not him though, because he's the doesn't understand cover. That's what you need to get on there and help me explain that to him.
I get yelled at a lot.
Yes.
Hey, land and
This
cover.
is cover for people on your side. He'll go around to that side and think that that's cover. Like, what are you doing on that side, Ben? I'm in cover. No, you're not.
Use
I
the
don't
land.
care.
Use the terrain to your advantage.
Yeah, he does not.
Well, we're trained. You know.
I know, but I keep Benjamin. Where are you going? Poor
You
Ben.
can only die so many times.
I know. Poor Ben.
My thing is the fighting. I never have.
I can't either. That's Gwyneth and Aiden. And Ben's pretty good at it, but he gets
Gwyneth is
yelled at.
extremely good at it.
Yeah. So's Aiden. Aiden actually gets more.
I've
than
not
her.
played with Aiden.
They're both pretty good.
So now you got another one coming along.
They're
Yeah.
two nerds. Yeah.
Well,
They're gaming nerds.
they're extremely intelligent
And he's got a magic bike.
That's awesome.
It protects him.
That's awesome.
Anyway, I really appreciate you having me on.
Man,
here.
it's always an honor, a privilege
Sure.
to have you in here. It's just beautiful. You're one of the good things about our county. You know what I mean?
I appreciate it.
I know judges and LEOs and all that they catch a bad rap, but if anybody'd ever sit down with you, and I know you have talked to the people that you've dealt with in the past, and they come back and tell you, hey, thank you for doing what you do.
Hope so. That's the whole idea.
That is the whole idea. But I've known this guy since the first day he walked the streets of Martinsville, and he knocked on my door, and I think he wished he would have ran. So,
I should have done that. Oh, I gotta be
one
somewhere
damn
else.
vote. I've been in there.
Two. Your
Two
wife
votes,
was there
sorry.
too. Yeah.
I stand corrected. 2 votes.
And
so.
your kids voted. So
Right, well, and my grandma was
Those
passed
3.
20 years before no. So anyway, get a hold of his book, Crimson Rage. I will read it and give a little critique on it. Author, look at that photo. Look at that. You
looks like me.
looking good there.
Actually, Tammy McClary took that picture too.
Did you really? Got
Yeah.
a little Jim Cavassel or Fiesel, however you say, look to it there.
I don't know. Big nose and balding head.
Matt, good luck to you in the book. If you
Thank
write
you.
another one, you got to come in.
I will. Appreciate it.
You got an audience, so.
Thanks for everybody who showed up.
Thanks for tuning in tonight, guys. Love you. Tomorrow night, Monday Music Hour. Rob will be back at it tomorrow night. We have a couple great guests coming in, so get a hold of Matt for your free books, and we'll go from there. Love you guys. We will see you soon.